All right, good afternoon. Thank you for patience waiting for us. We had to add a new member to finance, and so we had to welcome back the mother and add the new members. So here we are. Cole, are you ready? All right. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Senator Canizaro? Here. Senator Gocochea? Here. Senator Harris? Here. Senator Neal? Here. Senator Wynn? Here. Senator Severs-Ganser? Here. Senator Titus? Here. Chair Dondero Loop?
Here. Thank you very much, and I think all members are present, and we're ready to roll. And thank you, Senator Lang, for your patience. And we are going to start with Senate Bill 72. So we will let you join us at the table, and please go ahead when you're ready. It probably does. I wouldn't be the person that would be able to tell you how to do that, but, oh, here comes, oh, no, never mind.
It's all good.
All right.
I think you're getting a new chair. So I'll wait, if
Now,
that's
wait
okay.
just a darn minute. You mean the baby gets a new chair? Just, everybody, we're taking a recess. We're doing chair swap. Congratulations, Cole. You have a new chair from the Finance Committee.
And with that, you'll pass AB 72, or Senate Bill 72.
It's a lot in here today. It's a lot in here today. But you know, it's the last Friday before the last Friday. So, you know, we're all good. We have a little bit of fun once in a while, believe it or not. SB 72 is going to be just a wonderful thing. All righty, we will come back in from recess, and we will now hear Senate Bill 72 with that little bit of an interruption.
Good deal. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Roberta Lang, representing Senate District 7 in Las Vegas. And I'm here today to present Senate Bill 72 and just give you a little bit of background about it. There is a zero fiscal note from LCB on it, as they told me they felt they could absorb this task force into their budget that they have already. So Joint Education met in the interim 11 times in the interim. I guess interim is last time. And they dealt with a lot of issues during that time. And they came up with 5 issues that they really felt needed further investigation. And those issues would be mental health and the wellness of students, teacher workload, including reviewing relevant requirements and statutes and regulation, teacher licensing requirement, including review of impacts of those requirements on teacher diversity, effectiveness, and recruitment, the high school student achievement and graduation trends, and policy strategies to address the needs and provide intervention for students requiring additional resources. If you were to pass this out of finance and we could move forward, the interim committee would be required to submit a report of its findings for legislation to the legislature before the next legislative session. And with that, I'll be open to any questions.
Senator Harris, please.
Thank you, Chair. Senator, as you know, I'm a big fan of studies. And so I was wondering, what do you envision this looking like? What does it mean to you for an interim committee to conduct a study of 5 separate topics, right? Are you looking for expert testimony? Would they meet the requirement of doing the study in one joint interim meeting? Do you anticipate extra meetings being needed? What would it mean to conduct a study in this framework?
Thank you, Roberta Lang, for the record. I think this study is different than other studies in the sense that it came out of the interim committee, the people that are doing the work anyway, and they felt it was necessary to give themselves more time to study the issues that were important to education. So I see it as combination. I could see them breaking up into work groups and studying these. I could see them bringing in experts from CSG and CSL, other education groups to talk on these issues.
All right. I have a quick question. I actually presented this bill
Yes, you
at one
did.
point in the generations of this life. Can you talk to me a little bit about what they're going to discuss when they talk about teacher workload?
So this recommendation was presented to the committee by the Nevada State Teacher Recruitment and Retention Task Force. And we all know what the burden is with educators that they carry for their workload. And so I think we'll be looking at regulatory policy requirements, statutory stuff. The task force indicated that there was such an extensive nature of these requirements. Sometimes it impacts employee satisfaction, resulting in fatigue and excessive workloads. And I think we just want to look at the bigger picture.
Okay, thank you very much. I agree that that's what we need to do. We need to understand what their workload is so that we can understand if we need to change that or alter it in any way for their parameters for what they do.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
But I continue to say over and over again in all committees about teachers, teachers are professionals, and I think we need to remember that they go to school to learn their craft, and they're all very good at that. So thank you very much for that. Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Lang. During the Education Committee, it was my understanding when this was presented that this was really giving the interim Education Committee the direction for the next interim. Things that were identified during the last interim that needed further dissection, things that you needed to address to come back with perhaps some changes. So it wasn't just the sake of doing a study to do a study. And my objection was I felt it was going to narrow the Education Committee into certain niches and maybe not look at other issues that could come up. But it was clear that it was just a guidance that this bill was offering to the interim committee, at least to start on what would be the objectives for their next meeting. And what we're here for is just the funding of the guidance, right? Do I have that clear?
Senator Titus, Roberta Lang, for the record, your assumption is correct.
Senator Harris, please.
Thank you for the second bite, Madam Chair. My apologies. Senator Lang, here in Section 1, subsection 2, it appears that the requirement is that the interim standing committee submit a report for each study, so they would have 5 separate reports. Would you be opposed to them being able to compile that into one report, or are you kind of stuck on the idea that they need to submit 5 different ones?
Roberta Lang, for the record, I'm not opposed to putting it into one, but there may be different subgroups that are doing those studies, and so it would be better to leave them separate just because they might be different subgroups.
I think you're accurate. I think that what is studied and what is decided in those groups could be very different. All right, additional questions from the committee? All right, baby's asleep. We better keep going here. All right, thank you very much, and we'll go to support on Senate Bill 72, support in Las Vegas, and support on the phone lines. If you're listening on the phone lines, the number is 888-475-4499. The meeting ID for today is 835-4669. 2292, and then press pound. And when asked for the participant ID, please press pound and BPS when you're ready for support.
Thank you, Chair. The public lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City. I don't see any in Las Vegas. On the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The public lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer opposition testimony at this time.
All right, thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas. And on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, any closing remarks? We'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 72. We are going to roll Senate Bill 505, which means we will go to the work session. Mr. Thorley will give us the information on each bill for work session. I would remind you that when we vote on work session, please let the committee chair know, per Rule 16 of the committee, that we will honor our votes. If you do not want to vote for something or need to reserve your right, please let us know. But it is the responsibility of each legislator to, if you're going to vote against it on the floor, to make sure that you mention that in committee, because if you vote out of the committee, then you need to make sure that the chair knows that you're voting against it on the floor. So with that, we'll start with the work session, and we'll start with Senate Bill 166.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 166, reprint 1, was heard in Senate Finance on May 16th. The bill was presented by Senator Pizzina. The bill clarifies that for purposes of collective bargaining, an individual is excluded from the definition of being a supervisory employee if that employee performs civilian support services to a law enforcement agency and who is otherwise authorized to be part of an approved collective bargaining group. Additionally, the measure in its first reprint requires the Government Employee Management Relations Board to establish a separate bargaining unit for supervisory employees who are Category 1 peace officers, Category 2 peace officers, Category 3 peace officers, and firefighters. Section 2 of the bill provides that a bargaining unit for peace officers must be composed exclusively of peace officers. The measure becomes effective on July 1st, 2023. Regarding the fiscal impact, the Department of Administration, Division of Human Resource Management submitted an unsolicited fiscal note on March 15th, indicating the fiscal impact would be approximately $161,000 in FY24 and $201,000 in FY25 to fund the cost of 2 new full-time positions and associated operating costs. After that, the department submitted an unsolicited revision to change the start date for the positions in the first year of the biennium. So the fiscal impact in the first fiscal year would be reduced from the amount in the unsolicited fiscal note of $161,000 to approximately $65,000 in year 1, and then approximately $204,000 in year 2. The Division of Human Resource Management is an internal service fund. They are funded through assessments that they charge to using state agencies for the services that are provided by the division. Generally, general fund appropriations are not allocated to this division or any other internal service fund unit. However, the committee is not prohibited from doing so. So to address the fiscal note, the committees have a couple of options. One is a general fund appropriation could be amended into the bill to cover the cost of the 2 positions as updated from the Division of Human Resource Management. And the other option would be to not fund the positions, ask the agency to use their reserve funding to fund, if necessary, to do a work program during the interim, to bring in funding from reserves to fund the positions. Although not preferred, from the rate could also be changed. That would have an impact on using agencies who are budgeted at a certain rate, but that could also be done to bring in the revenue necessary to fund these positions. If a general fund appropriation is approved, it would be fiscal staff's recommendation that that be one-time appropriation and that the agency be instructed to build the cost of those positions into their rates for the 2025-27 biennium and into the budget that is presented to the 2025 legislature. Testimony, there was no testimony in support, opposition, or neutral. There were no amendments offered during the bill hearing. And that's it. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the committee members might have regarding this bill or the fiscal impact.
Senator Ganser, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if I remember correctly, all of these categories, all these folks were already in a bargaining group, but they were in one supervisory group, and this breaks them out. Are we adding candidates to collective bargaining or certain groups to collective bargaining?
Would you like to come forward, Senator Pizzina? And I don't know if you need Mr. Inglesby to come with you. He's welcome to join you if he'd like. It's lots of fun up here.
Thank you so much, Chair John Darrow Loop. Julie Pizzina for the record, and through you to Senator Gansert. So this is not adding anyone new to the opportunity to collectively bargain. However, how it's been currently set up, all category 1, 2, 3, law enforcement supervisors, firefighter supervisors, would join any other kind of supervisor. And so whether it's IT, whether it's clerical, whatever position it may be. And so it's been very challenging for them to find the common ground to collectively bargain. One gentleman, in fact, told me that he has no desire to move up in law enforcement because when he does, he can't take part in collective bargaining anymore as a supervisor, per se. So it's not adding anyone new. It's just giving people the opportunity to effectively collectively bargain.
Thank you. And so the comment you made about the individual who told you the story, that sounds like he couldn't collectively bargain now because he's in a supervisory position, but he could if he wasn't in a supervisory position.
He was currently not in a supervisory position and did not want to move into a supervisory position because it was too hard to get a group together to be part of that massive group of supervisors on the state level. This is really to fix legislation from 2019 that was wonderful legislation. It just made it more challenging without the separated categories for people to collectively bargain within their own group. So all supervisors, if you work in IT, if you work in clerical, if you work as a first responder, you might have different concerns. And all of those supervisors are all piled right into one category as opposed to separate categories. So this is just creating a category for each of them.
Thank you. And I saw that all the supervisors were in occupational groups, but then I think it reads as if you have 3 other groups, one for fire supervisors, and then one for each category of peace officers. So it's like 4 new groups. Is that accurate? Because I think there was a problem too. There weren't enough in each category.
Mr. Thorley has something to add in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. So you are correct, Senator Sievers-Gansert. It would add 4 additional bargaining units. However, the individuals that would be eligible under those bargaining units are currently eligible under current law under bargaining unit J for supervisory employees. So it wouldn't add additional positions that are eligible for collective bargaining. It would just take the current supervisory group, which is made up of all supervisors statewide, and they have not achieved exclusive representation at this point. It would break that up to pull out 4 just smaller supervisory groups for the law enforcement officers and firefighters. And then the rest of the supervisors in the state would be eligible to get exclusive representation under the existing Group J for supervisory employees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm going to vote yes, but reserve my right on this one just to get more information. Thank you.
Questions? Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and maybe the author. Just about how many people, have you got a ballpark, how many people were we talking about?
Mr. Inglesby, I knew you'd finally get to the party. Welcome.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Todd Inglesby.
Say it with a little more enthusiasm in your voice,
Todd
please.
Inglesby, President of Professional Firefighters Nevada. In our group, within the firefighters, we have about 100 members in there, and it includes about 16 supervisors. So it's very similar count under the peace officer categories too as well.
Okay, and now, Todd, who's getting moved, the 16 or the 100?
Todd Inglesby, Professional Firefighters Nevada. It would be 16 additional supervisors currently who are currently included into the supervisor contract that includes all supervisors in the state.
So those 16 and the additional 16 on the police side, those 32 members are what we're talking about?
It's on average, depending on, probably around 30 some people to 60 some people, somewhere around there, depending on which spots they have filled, et cetera. I know for sure on mine, I believe it's 16 or 18 now. I think it's 18 total, but there's 16 currently because we have 2 spots open. So I think it's right around those numbers.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, additional questions and concerns? All right, with that, thank you very much. And I will accept a motion on this particular item. All right. All right, I'll accept a motion from Senator Wynn with no general fund added. It's a do pass. Second from Senator Canizaro. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay from Senator Titus. And with that, the motion passes, and I will give the floor statement to Senator Pizzina. All right, we're ready for Senate Bill 222.
Kathy Crockett, Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 222, the first reprint, requires the Department of Health and Human Services to provide a list of names and addresses of persons who receive public assistance for use in jury selection to a district judge or jury commissioner upon request to be placed on the list of qualified electors. In addition, the bill increases the fee to which a person summoned as a juror or serving as a juror from $40 to $65. The bill also restores a person's civil right to serve as a juror upon discharge from parole or probation or release from prison in certain cases. The bill is effective upon passage and approval for the purpose of adopting any regulations or performing other preparatory administrative tasks, and on January 1st, 2024 for all other purposes. Regarding the fiscal impact of the legislation, various local jurisdictions indicated there would be a fiscal impact. Regarding the impact to state agencies, the Administrative Office of the Courts indicated a cost of $20,000 in fiscal year 2024 to establish a new data connection. The bill was presented by Senator Harris, who mentioned an amendment to remove sections 3, 4, and 5 from the bill, which relate to serving on juries upon discharge of parole and probation. There was no testimony in support, opposition, or neutral on the bill. Options for consideration by the committee include amending and do passing the bill with $20,000 in general fund appropriations to support the costs of the Administrative Office of the Courts for the new data connection, or do pass and do not fund the data connection.
Thank you very much. And just to confirm, we have deleted sections 3 and sections 4 and sections 5.
Yes, that's correct. So it would be amended, do pass in either of those cases.
Thank you very much. So any discussion on this bill? Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, thank you for the clarification. But Kathy, you said that the bill did restore the rights after probation, but by deleting those sections that doesn't restore their rights. Is that what I'm hearing? Right, okay.
Is it not working? I got it.
Because, just to be clear, I support the bill with the amendment, so I just want to make sure that's what we're hearing. Your original statement said it did, but it doesn't, correct?
So that was on the bill as in
Got it.
its
Thank
first
you.
reprint state, but the amendment would remove those provisions
Great.
from the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You guys call BPS.
Madam Chair?
Oh,
Oh,
wait.
there it goes. It just went back on for her.
Is it on?
Works now.
I thought we got away from the microphone.
Thank you. Can I add, just for clarification, when I read this, 6 years after the date of his or her discharge from parole, their right to serve was restored. So that goes back in if we're deleting what you've changed in those sections.
Yeah,
So
thank
it's a
you.
6-year time frame. It's not completely eliminates, it's a 6-year time frame.
Senator Harris?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Senator Severs-Gansert, that is correct. The current state of the law is 6 years. The bill, as originally drafted, would have changed that to immediately upon completing probation and parole. If with the amendment that I have proposed, it will current law will remain.
All right. Any additional questions? Senator Gocochea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You'll be sorry you woke me up, but all this bill does is raise the jury fees by $25, long and short of it.
And adds a list.
And the list.
Ms. Crockett, do you have a microphone? You know, I thought when we moved to this room, we got rid of the microphone problems, but go ahead, please.
I do have a microphone at the moment. Senator Harris only mentioned removing section 3, 4, and 5, so 6 would remain in the bill.
Senator Gansert.
Thank you. Just for clarification, Section 6 is the part that a district jury commissioner who requests a list of recipients pursuant to Section 1, which are people who are on public assistance, I believe. So this still adds people on public assistance and raises the amount per day for folks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Harris, any additional questions or comments?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. I think we finally got there.
Perfect. All right, we got microphones and an agreement. All right, with that, I will accept a motion to amend and do pass. Thank you, Senator Titus. And a second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And this is Senator Harris's bill, so I will allow her to have the floor statement. Thank you very much. And we will move to Senate Bill 242.
Wayne Thorley for the record again, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 242, first reprint, was heard in Senate Finance Committee yesterday on May 25th. It was presented by Senator Nguyen. The bill, as amended in its current version, requires the Department of Health and Human Services to establish the Psychedelic Medicines Working Group to study certain issues relating to the therapeutic use of entheogens during the 2023-24 interim. The bill is amended further prescribes the membership and duties of the working group and requires the department to submit a written report describing the activities, findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the working group for transmittal to the 2025 legislature. The effective date of the bill is passage and approval. Regarding the fiscal impact of the bill, I'll just jump to current. The most recent information we have based off of the current version of the bill as amended from the Department of Health and Human Services is that they anticipate being able to manage the working group without any additional costs. Therefore, if the committee wishes to move this, the department does not anticipate needing additional funding to meet the requirements of the bill. There was testimony provided in support from Deep Roots Harvest, the Nevada Coalition for Psychedelic Medicine, Battleborn Progress, and the Libertarian Party of Nevada. Opposition testimony was provided by the Nevada Psychiatric Association, and neutral testimony from the Nevada United Veterans Council. The Nevada Psychiatric Association did submit an amendment. However, the sponsor is not considering that amendment. And that's it for the summary. If there's any questions the committee members have on either the fiscal impact or anything else related to the bill, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Dr. Titus?
I appreciate it, Madam Chair, but the sponsor knows my concerns, and I don't have a questions on the fiscal note. The policy is what I can't accept. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Senator Cancer.
I'll be no on it, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments? All right, with that, I will accept a motion. So moved from Senator Harris. A second from Senator Canizaro. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay from Senator Titus, Senator Gokachia, and Senator Gansert. Thank you very much. Motion passes, and I will give the floor statement to Senator Wynn. Okay, we will move on to Senate Bill 276, which is a bill that we needed to discuss today with an amendment. And so, Mr. Thorley, are you up this time, or is that Kathy? Ms. Crockett, please.
Kathy Crockett, Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 276 creates new licensing and regulatory requirements for debt buyers and defines such agencies as collection agencies, which require oversight by the Department of Business and Industry under current law. The bill, among other things, requires a collection agency to display certain information on the internet, establishes certain remote working location requirements and employment standards, revises licensure, application, record keeping, annual reporting, permitting, and certification requirements, revises certain domestic provisions and provisions relating to bonding, removes certain permitting fees and examination requirements, repeals certain foreign provisions and prohibits certain actions and provides for related penalties. Sections 1 through 48, 50, 51, and 52 become effective on passage and approval for preparatory tasks and on October 1st, 2023 for all other purposes. Section 49 of the bill becomes effective upon notice to the Legislative Council Bureau that the nationwide multi-state licensing system and registry has sufficient capabilities to allow the commissioner to carry out the provisions of Chapter 347 Statutes of Nevada 2021 at page 2030. Regarding the fiscal impact, the Division of Financial Institutions of the Department of Business and Industry indicates there would be approximately 200 new licensees if the bill were passed, which would generate revenue of approximately $502,000 in fiscal year 2024 and $381,000 in fiscal year 2025. There would be costs associated with positions and operating costs of approximately $224,000 in fiscal year 2024 and $287,000 in fiscal year 2025. Therefore, fee revenue would be sufficient to support projected operating costs, so it would not be necessary to add any funding to the bill if the committee wishes to approve the measure. The bill was presented by Senator Lang, accompanied by the General Counsel of RMAI. There was one amendment presented by the HOA Collections, LLC, at the meeting that staff has discussed with the Senator Lang, and she was agreeable to the amendment. It would clarify in Section 10, subsection 2 of the bill that the provisions of that section would apply to collection agents working from a remote location. And Senator Lang has also provided an additional amendment to fiscal staff that would change Section 14(1)K, and that is on page 14, line 17 of the bill, to read 14 USC 1692A, Section 6A through F. There was no comment in support or opposition, and there was one individual testifying in neutral on the bill. If the committee wishes to approve the measure, an appropriate motion would be to amend and do pass with both amendments.
Ms. Crockett, would you repeat that section 14 information, please?
That would be section 14, 1K, and that is on page 14, I believe is on line 17. And it would change the reference to the United States Code to 15 USC 1692A 6, sections A through F.
Thank you very much. All right, questions, Senator Gansert?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to know what the USC codes 1692A6, section A through F, what that does. Or how do we find out what those do? And did you delete the 1692A6B? Was it just an addition?
I believe it was a drafting error, but I'll let Mr. Thorley or Ms. Crockett confirm.
Okay, thank you.
Wayne Thorley for the record. My understanding is it's just making the correct reference to the correct section in United States Code. I'm happy to look up exactly what that section is, if you give me just a second.
I looked up that section of USC, and it appears to relate to the definitions of a debt collector.
Thank you. I've got it too. I've got it.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions from the committee? All right, with that, I will accept a motion to amend and do pass. Thank you very much, Senator Wynn. A second by Senator Canizaro. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes, and I will give Senator Lang, would you like the floor statement on that again? If you sit around, you get work in here. All right, Senator Lang will get the floor statement on that. And we will move on to Senate Bill 279.
Wayne Thorley again for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 279, as introduced, was heard in Senate Finance on May 20th. It was presented by Senator Spearman. The bill establishes the state as a model employer program in the Division of Human Resource Management of the Department of Administration to ensure state agencies are implementing the best promising and emerging policies, practices, and procedures relating to the hiring, promotion, and retention of persons with disabilities. The bill further requires the Division of Human Resource Management and the Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation to provide training and technical assistance to state agencies on such policies, practices, and procedures. The bill becomes effective upon passage and approval for the purpose of adopting any regulations and performing any other preparatory administrative tasks that are necessary to carry out the provisions of the bill, and on January 1, 2024, for all other purposes. Regarding the fiscal impact, the Division of Human Resource Management submitted a fiscal note on the current version of the bill as introduced, indicating a fiscal impact of approximately $80,000 in FY24 and $98,000 in FY25 for personnel and other associated operating costs to implement the provisions of the bill. During testimony on the bill, the agency did maintain that based on their interpretation of the bill, that the division would be required to build out a new program that does not already exist, and therefore they are requesting the additional position to carry out those duties. There was testimony provided in support from the State of Nevada Association of Providers, Stephen Cohen, and the Nevada Governor's Council on Individuals with Disabilities. There was no testimony in opposition or neutral. There were no amendments presented at the bill hearing, and fiscal staff has not received any amendments subsequent to the bill hearing. Similar to the discussion on a prior bill, the Division of Human Resource Management does not generally receive general fund. Instead, the operations of their division are funded through an assessment or various assessments that they charge using state agencies for the services that they provide. If the committee wishes to add funding to the division to address the fiscal note, the committee could add general fund appropriations and indicate that the general fund appropriations are one-time only for the current biennium, and instruct the Division of Human Resource Management to build the ongoing costs related to this position in their rates for the 2025-27 biennium. Alternatively, the committee could also follow the prior action of the committee on a previous bill and ask the agency to fund this out of reserves. I will note that the agency does not have unlimited reserves. If they do not have enough reserves to fund these positions, they would have to either raise the rates or additional alternative funding source would need to be provided for. Happy to answer any questions that the committee might have on this bill or the fiscal note. Thank you.
Mr. Thorley, would you please confirm what the fiscal is on this?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley, again for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. According to the fiscal note submitted by the Division of Human Resource Management, where they indicate one full-time position would be needed to carry out the duties associated with this bill, they are estimating position-related costs, so salary, benefits, and then some operating costs related to travel, new equipment. In total, the estimate is $80,195 in fiscal year 24 and $98,171 in fiscal year 25. And then on an ongoing basis, approximately $196,000 per biennia.
Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion? Senator Gansard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it sounds like potentially we can fund it out of general fund to start out with, and then we can let them rely on their income, their rates, but because it sounds like the reserve, we won't be able to depend on that because it's too low. I think so. I guess getting more to the point, I think this is valuable. I think we ought to fund it. I think it makes sense for us to be a model state around folks with disabilities.
Was there a question or just a comment in there? I'm sorry.
Well, it sounded like, so are we going to put general fund into it? Or how are we going to fund it?
That will be the decision that we'll be making. Additional questions, concerns? All right. Senator Canizaro, would you like to, I'll accept a motion from you.
So moved, Madam Chair, and I would propose general funds for this particular biennium, and then thereafter they could absorb it.
Thank you very much, and I'll accept a second from Senator Wynn. Any other discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you very much. Motion passes, and I see Senator Spearman in the audience, so I will give you the floor statement. All right, on to Senate Bill 301. Ms. Crockett. Sorry, Mr. Thorley.
Sorry, Madam Chair, we went out of order. Wayne Thorley again for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 303 in its first reprint was heard in Senate Finance on May 17th and was presented by Senator Lang. The bill, first reprint, revises the definition of a worker employed on a public works project and would therefore be eligible to be paid prevailing wage. The definition now under the bill would include a worker who was employed by delivering or removing construction material or structures to or from the site of a public work, and an employee that is necessary in the execution of a contract for the public work and is also deemed to be employed on a public work for the purposes of the payment of prevailing wage. The bill further defines construction material or structures to mean aggregate, asphalt, and concrete. The effective date of the bill is upon passage and approval for the purposes of adopting any regulations and performing any other preparatory administrative tasks, and January 1, 2024 for all other purposes. Regarding the fiscal impact, the Department of Transportation submitted an unsolicited fiscal note on its current version, the reprint 1 version, indicating cost of approximately $43,000 in FY24 and $79,000 in FY25 for personnel and operating costs to ensure compliance with the provisions of the bill by NDOT funded projects. The Department of Business and Industry Office of the Labor Commissioner also submitted a fiscal note indicating a cost of $184,000 approximately in FY24. And approximately $314,000 in FY25 for additional positions to carry out the provisions of the bill. Testimony, there was no testimony provided in support of the bill. In opposition, the Nevada Trucking Association, the Urban Consortium provided testimony in opposition, and the Labor Commissioner provided testimony in neutral. There were no amendments discussed during the hearing, and fiscal staff is not aware of any additional amendments subsequent to the hearing. Regarding the fiscal impact, the Department of Transportation is funded through highway fund authorizations. The department has access to the highway fund during the interim, and if the committee wishes, could instruct the department to access those funds during the interim should the cost that they're projecting actually materialize and funding be needed to support those costs. After discussion yesterday, fiscal staff reached out to the Department of Business and Industry and the Office of the Labor Commissioner to have a discussion on their fiscal note. I will note that the Department of Business and Industry has maintained that they believe the 4 positions are needed to carry out the provisions of this bill, that they would need 2 positions in the north and 2 positions in the south. However, they did, the money committees did ask that cost be provided for just if, as an estimate, if only 2 positions are funded, and they did provide that information. If the committee wishes to fund only 2 positions, the cost would be $86,353 in year 1 and $144,576 in year 2 for just two positions. Again, the department has indicated to fiscal staff that that would not be sufficient for them to have the personnel necessary to carry out the provisions related to this bill. Happy to answer any questions that the committee members might have regarding the bill or the fiscal impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions? Senator Gocochea.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I worked on this bill in committee too and trying to narrow the focus down, but it's becoming more and more apparent. And I'm just going to address the fiscal. Okay, if we're only going to provide half of the inspectors, then does that mean only half of the trucking industry has to comply?
Well, I can't answer that, but I personally don't think that's the way it works. I think everybody has to comply, but I guess we're deciding whether the workload constitutes 4 people or whether it constitutes 2 or 1 or what.
Yeah, I understand that. I was just trying to make light of it. The fact is,
I can't
if they can't
imagine
get it
that.
done, then only half of the people that are supposed to pay have to pay. So if that's the case, let's only provide 1, and that only means 25%. Thank you. Sorry, just make it light.
It's okay, Senator Gocochea. It's okay. It's Friday afternoon at almost 3 o'clock. All right. Any additional conversation, Senator Gansert?
Thank you. I'm not going to support. I mean, we don't have a motion, but I think we've found that it's a struggle to be able to actually figure out exactly who's supposed to be paying prevailing wage, and we've got contractors who are in and out of the state and so forth, and so I'm not going to be able to support this legislation.
Okay. Senator Titus.
Again, we haven't had a motion, but I might as well say this now. I think this is not only a logistical nightmare, but it does a disservice to all of those that do come and into our state to work. And we remain a right-to-work state, and whether these folks are working in a trucking industry, delivery, it's a logistical nightmare to regulate that, and to come down like this on those particular folks, I think is not right. I think it's whether we need 2 people, 4 people, or 8 people to do this, it's just not good policy. So I'll be a no during the vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Lang, did you have anything you wanted to add at all? Okay. All right. So with that, Madam Majority Leader, would you please like to make a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move to do pass, right?
So if you wanted to add funding for,
Okay, so let's do an amend do pass for Senate Bill 301, but to the chair's point, 2 positions for the Labor Commissioner's office, and we'll add that funding for those.
Thank you very much. And a second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Gocochea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be a no. It's just impractical. I don't care how many people we've got following the records. If you're hauling type 2 to a site here in Carson today, this morning and this afternoon, you end up boosting material up Spooner to another project up there, a parking lot, a private sector job. There's just no way to track it. I don't care how many inspectors or how many auditors we put on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Titus is giving me a nod, and Senator Gansert is giving me a nod. Alrighty, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Senator Titus, Senator Gokachia, and Senator Gansert are nays. Motion passes. I will give the floor statement to Senator Lang. All right, we will go on to Senate Bill 305.
Kathy Crockett, Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 305, first reprint, was heard in the committee on May 18th. Existing law provides for individual retirement accounts as well as individual retirement annuities by which persons may save money for retirement under favorable income tax treatment. Senate Bill 305 establishes the Nevada Employee Savings Trust under the direction of a board of trustees with the power to establish a similar program and to encourage private employees to establish such accounts. The bill becomes effective sections 36 and 38 upon passage and approval, sections 1 through 35 and 37 upon passage and approval for performing administrative preparatory tasks, and on July 21st, 2025 for all other purposes. The state treasurer submitted a fiscal note indicating a cost of $669,491 in fiscal year 2024 and $535,074 in fiscal year 2025 for 3 new staff, including a management analyst, a program officer, and an administrative assistant, as well as an investment consultant to serve as an independent fiduciary, as well as other operating costs to operate the program in the upcoming biennium. Testimony on the bill was provided by Senator Harris, accompanied by Treasurer Conine. There was discussion of Nevada possibly joining with another state that has a similar program that could result in a lower cost. However, there's not a definitive estimate on what the lower cost may be at this particular point in time. There was discussion during the bill hearing that there could be a possible amendment to require the costs of the fiscal note to be repaid once the program starts generating participant fees and becoming self-sufficient. Regarding testimony and support, there were several individuals, including AARP Nevada, the Urban Chamber, the Pew Charitable Trust, American Retirement Association, Battleborn Progress, as well as a couple of other individuals. There was no testimony in opposition or neutral. If the committee wishes to approve this bill today, a motion to consider would be to add general fund for startup costs in the upcoming biennium with the provision that the general funds be repaid from participant fees when the program starts generating income and becoming self-sustaining in the future.
Any discussion? Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Crockett noted a couple of the important points, but I just want to reiterate a few. One, the costs estimated include what might be probably the worst case scenario if we don't join another state. She noted that there are 3 additional positions requested. Other states have run this program with 2 employees or so. We are most likely going to join with another state, and so that would also not require us to have to get our own investment advisor. And so I anticipate that once this is all said and done, it will cost the state, actually, well, it's going to cost the state nothing since we're getting a loan, but that it will be significantly less than what is estimated here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. With that, I will accept a motion from Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move that we amend and do pass 305 to add the portion of general funds for the costs, which will be repaid in the form of a loan.
Thank you very much, and I'll accept a second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to be a no on this, although I think it's well intended and we do want folks to save. The fact that the employer has, and the employee actually has to opt out versus opting in, and it's down to 5 employees, meaning that it could be a pretty small operation that's forced to do this. So I'm going to be a no. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Gocochea.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I really tried to work with the sponsor on this, and just short of wrestling over whether to go to 25 or 5, but at this point, with only 5, I've got to oppose it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Gansert.
Madam Chair, I'm a no for similar reasons. I also think that retirement plans are really complicated and the timeframes don't match up, so I think they need to be a larger company. I appreciate the sponsor and the efforts she's making, because I agree as well that folks need to be able to have access to retirement plans, and actually you can do that, but because it's an opt-out instead of an opt-in, and the timeline doesn't match with the time frame where you have to withdraw money and then add it back without a penalty, a tax penalty. It's just a little complicated, and I think larger companies could handle this, but maybe not the mom and pops. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Chair. While I don't suspect that this will change any minds, I did want to note that we have ensured that anyone can opt out of the program within 90 days, which for most folks is 6 paychecks, penalty-free, if they see that this money's coming out and they can't afford it. And so while it is a opt-out, every employee will have plenty of opportunity to be able to change their election to 0 without penalty before that money is put into the same kind of system where they might face tax implications if they remove that money and don't pay it back.
All right. With that, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay from Senator Titus, Senator Gocochea, and Senator Gansert. Thank you very much. Motion passes. And I will give the floor statement to Senator Harris. All right, the last thing on our agenda right for now is Senate Bill 439, which is also a Senator Harris bill. And when you're ready, please go ahead.
Kathy Crockett, Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 439, the first reprint was heard on committee in May 25th. The bill revises various provisions relating to communicable diseases, among other provisions. It requires the development of policies to provide uninterrupted services during a public health emergency to persons who have been diagnosed with HIV or are at high risk of acquiring HIV. Imposes certain requirements to ensure prisoners have access to treatment and prevention methods for HIV. Requires school districts to establish a course or unit of evidence-based factual instruction in sexuality education that includes certain topics and authorizes a healthcare provider or other qualified person to teach such a course. The bill also requires certain health plans to cover all drugs approved by the FDA for treating HIV or hepatitis C, certain drugs for treating substance use disorder, as well as testing for treatment of and prevention of sexually transmitted diseases. Sections 1 through 14, 75, 76, 77, 78, and 79 are effective upon passage and approval. Sections 1 to 11, 12, 14 to 75, as well as 79, become effective upon passage and approval for preparatory tasks and on January 1st, 2024 for all other purposes. During the bill hearing, Senator Harris presented the bill, and she discussed conceptual amendment 3666, which is available in Nellis. And it was noted that there was a fiscal impact indicated by the Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy of approximately $2.4 million in fiscal year 2024 and $4.8 million in fiscal year 2025. However, the conceptual amendment would remove the fiscal impact from Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy. The Department of Education indicated a fiscal year 2024 cost of $115,609 to implement the revised educational standards required for sexuality education. Staff would note with regard to a breakdown of those costs, there was $20,323 of overtime indicated, as well as contractual travel and task force related expenses. Staff would note that overtime is not a typically budgeted for cost, so the committee may wish to consider funding the other operational costs and not overtime, so that would reduce the cost from $115,609 in fiscal year 2024 to $95,286 in fiscal year 2024. Regarding testimony in support of the bill, there were 2 entities, including the Nevada Public Health Association and Pharmaceutical Health, that testified in support. There were a number of individuals who testified in opposition, including the Nevada Republican Committee and the Libertarian Party of Nevada. And if the committee wishes to consider approving the bill, an appropriate motion would be to amend and do pass, and to determine whether to add funding to the bill, and if so, how much funding to approve for the Department of Education, given the inclusion of overtime in the agency's fiscal note.
Any discussion on this particular item? Senator Gocochea?
Yes, thank you, and I don't know where I was skimming through here, and this is no doubt a real issue, but it talks about an advisory committee that would advise the school board as far as the age and what they would teach. I can't seem to find the makeup of that committee or how it's appointed. Well, 16, 17 they talk about the committee, but I don't see how you get where you create it.
Because it's already an existing law. I'm not creating that committee.
Okay, they're already supposed to have one,
Yes.
and they would determine then how you impose this.
Yeah, but in conjunction with that local board, the local.
Senator Harris?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. So first, looking at Section 17, Senator Gocochea, I think you're talking about the council to establish academic standards for public schools. That council is currently in existence. You'll find the makeup of that in NRS 389.520. That's why you won't see it here. I did not establish that commission. And you will also note, sir, on page 16, so this is section 17, sub 3, the advisory committee with the parents and all of that local makeup will continue to advise the district concerning the content and materials to be used in this course.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Uh-oh. It's okay. Shh. It's whatever section you want it to be, Cole. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns? All right, with that, I will accept a motion. Senator Wynn? So moved from Senator Wynn.
Is that so to adopt the policy amendment and the funding for?
Is that the policy adoption and the funding for the Department of Education?
That is correct.
Thank you very much, and I'll have a second from Senator Harris. Senator Gansert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to vote yes today, but I'm going to reserve my right. I think there's a little confusion between section 17 and 18. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Titus as well, or would you like to make a statement?
I'm going to be a no on this. I expressed my concerns during the policy committee part of this. Thank you.
Senator Gocochea.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and just because it is such a hot topic in in my communities, the rurals especially, I'm going to be a no.
Thank you very much. All right. With that, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay from Senator Titus, Senator Gokachia, and reserve the right from Senator Gansert. All right. With that, the motion passes, and Senator Harris, this is your bill, so I will give you the floor statement. All right. With that, we have completed our agenda for now. So this is a series. So this is part 1, and part 2 of the series will be later this afternoon. The agenda will to be determined. We were working as fast as we can with fiscal staff, and we cannot tell you how much we appreciate all of you, as well as our secretaries and fiscal staff here in the building. Thank you very much for all you do, because we are moving fast around here. So thank you very much, and with that, we'll recess until later today.